Now, you had a question which came into your head during They Said It.
Yes, it was with both of the Ricks, the Rick Toshe,
Rick Tocchet, yes,
and the other Rick Bucher. Yeah. And it was interesting because Rick Tocchet said that this is a Stanley Cup team.
The Bruins Rick Tocchet, after that game Saturday, said this is a Stanley Cup winning hockey team.
Right.
Yes.
And then Rick Bucher was like Jason Tatum taking the next level. So I was thinking to myself, who has the most pressure on them when you look at both of these teams to
win it all?
To win it all. And it's simple for me. I think it's the Bruins, or the most pressure or the most to lose. I think it's the Bruins because a big part of their core are older guys. Like if the Celtics lose, I think we're disappointed.
But you think they're going to be back in the mix again for the next couple of years,
right?
Depending on what they do with Jaylen Brown and the Max,
right?
Whatever, yeah.
Right. And with the Bruins, if they lose as good as they're playing, isn't it?
This might be it for Patrice Bergeron.
Krejci.
For Krejci.
Marchand's only got a few more years.
Yeah. It is the team that hasn't won always over the team that's veteran has with most pressure, because Bergeron retires today. Hall of Famer, numbers going to the rafters, nothing changes.
Yeah.
You can't be an all-time great Celtic without a championship. So until Tatum...
More pressure on Tatum in your mind.
Tatum's got the most pressure of any athlete in Boston right now.
Because you know what's interesting? I think I heard this on Jones and Mego, and they brought up a good point, is that even Bergeron's first ballot Hall of Famer, but the era of that run is going to be looked at as, and I know it's different in hockey, but an underachieving era because you only won one and you went to two others and lost. And, we criticize people for that in all sports. And so that era of the Krejci, Bergeron, Marchand, because you kind of throw those guys all in, an underachieving era where I understand what you're saying with, Jason Tatum having to win, but Tatum's only 24 years old, and the future, in his case, is still really bright.
But do you factor into that how dominant a team has been in the regular season? I know you said it doesn't matter, but
I do factor into
it. The Bruins have been far and away better than anybody else in the NHL. The Celtics are,
right.
The Celtics, yes, NBA best, but it's by a half game or a game or a couple games.
The issue, Greg, is that in the NHL, far more than in the NBA or other sports, are there upsets in the first, second round.
Yeah.
Whereas the Celtics, the other thing, if the Bruins lose in the conference final, do you think Monty's fired?
No.
No.
Okay. If the Celtics don't make the NBA finals, is there a chance Missoula's fired?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe, but I think it's more because of the whole thing that's kind of transpired. Here's what
that adds pressure.
All right, so here's what I'll ask you. If they both lose in the conference finals, which team gets criticized and ridiculed and ripped more by the fan base? I believe it's the Bruins because of that record-setting season. And,
that's fair. Yep.
And you look and go, now we got to wait how many months to see what's going on with Krejci and Bergeron. Where the Celtics, if they lose, you go, well, you know what? You got Tatum and possibly Brown coming back.
This is Dan the Bread Man. What's up, Dan?
Well, I wouldn't throw all your money on the Bruins just yet. I got a little information here for you. I got a team here that's had the top 4 leading scorers in the league. Not only that, they had 7 of the top 9 leading scorers. Didn't make the Cup Finals. It was stopped by one guy, Ken Dryden. It's the 71 Bruins.
You have arguably the 2 hottest goaltenders in the NHL on your franchise. So
right.
You also don't have either of the 2 top point scorers. Those are both on Edmonton.
I feel very confident.
But it is. It's a topical reference.
Yes,
but in your opinion,
what's coming up next? Do we have like a Mr. Zero Freddie Brimsick reference coming?
He sounded so depressed about that too. Like that really like haunted him.
You know what I'm really
back when goaltenders didn't wear a mask, Shime.
You know what I'm really looking forward to tonight? Cusick on the call.
Yes. Yeah.
But who do you feel like has more to lose, more pressure on him? Because can you imagine if Bergeron?
I think it's the Bruins because of the reasons that have been pointed. I disagree with Curtis. I understand what you're saying. Tatum has a good, 3 or 4 years to get one.
That's what Marino said.
I know.
You also look at the NBA. LeBron didn't win one until his 8th or 9th season. Like, I just think NBA guys are afforded more time sometimes, just because when they're superstars, people just love them for being superstars, and they don't demand championships in the way that we demand them in other sports.
I think this is huge for Bergeron because he does not want to walk away going, I went to 4 Stanley Cup finals and only won one. Right? I think this is huge, huge for him.
Yeah.
And just being part of his legacy.
Yeah.
It's Bergeron. It's Patrice.
Okay, but what is Patrice's legacy if they don't win the cup and he retires this year?
What is
Greatest Selke. The Selke should be renamed after him.
Yeah,
That's his
oh,
legacy.
yeah,
Is
but-
there anything negative about him?
I think the fact that he went to, if he goes to the Stanley Cup finals, he went to 4 finals and only won one.
Yeah, but I don't think if he's a quarterback, I totally agree with you. If he's an all-time great NBA player, I agree with you.
But don't you think I think they look at that in hockey with great players, right? And I don't, when you always hear the conversations of like, Gretzky and Lemieux, it's always about championships with those guys, right? When you hear about Ovi and how he could be one of the greatest players, like goal scorers ever, it's always about championships.
But where did the Bruins end their season last year? What round?
The second round? Second round?
Okay, so if they make it to the conference final and they lose,
Yes.
whereas if the Celtics make it to the conference final and lose,
Right.
it is a far bigger failure for the Celtics than it is for the Bruins.
But see, I don't know because of the way, and I think Greg makes this great point, because of the way the Bruins are playing, their record-setting season is much more of a failure if they get to the conference finals.
How
and
many
lose.
points did the Lightning have the year they lost in the first round to Columbus, I think it was?
130
yeah,
or something.
Okay, so they were fine.
And we all said that was an absolute choke job.
But they-
of all choke
But they were
jobs.
right there back again. Like the Celtics it's a sport where it's decided by 1 or 2 guys. They have one of the
Right.
top 3 players in the sport. Tatum last year got 2 wins away from a title. If they end up before the NBA Finals this year, Missoula could be the fall guy, and there might actually be changes.
But I also think that if you look at and just on Greg's point, based on the way that they're playing, no matter what happens to the Celtics and Bruins, if both of those teams lose, I think the bigger failure is going to be against the Bruins just because of they're the most dominant team in hockey by a mile.
Yeah.